This is 2 Minutes About Time with Luke Allen and Robert E.G. Black, the podcast that takes a look at the film About Time 2 minutes at a time. I am Richard Curtis, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you don't, well, you can just travel back in time 2 minutes and listen to something else.
I'm one of your hosts, Luke Allen. I'm joined, as always, with my co-host, Robert E.G. Black.
Hello.
And with our special guest for this week, Joe Archer.
Hello guys, how you doing?
So, Joe, to those who don't know you, could you briefly introduce yourself to our listeners?
So I am a sort of indie director, producer, bad writer. Like, that's the kind of thing that I do. I also have a kind of little production company called Windows Upper Productions, where we film things for whoever will pay us, which is not that much these days. Thanks to the lockdown, there's not much filming going on at the moment. But at this point in time, you might have seen my shorts that I've done called On in 15, which is going to festivals. It's about a band you've got to get on stage in 15
So
minutes.
I met you at the
Yes,
Birmingham
you did.
premiere.
Yes, you did, yeah. And that is where we first met, wasn't it? At the Odeon there. So many comedy films. I produced the odd drama. I like to direct comedy and then like produce dramas that I particularly like the script of. So that's me. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and so the listeners might have heard me reference your premiere at one point, because I remember talking about how strange it was to be counted as an industry guest and the fun of that.
Well, it was good, because then we ended up talking about the film that you just made. That was good. It was good to see that, yeah.
So, what was your first experience with the film About Time?
Well, I haven't seen it before, so this is the first time I've seen anything of it. Am I meant to say what minutes I've watched, or can I just talk about
just what your overall impressions are, and then we'll go into the minutes in a moment.
Okay, so yeah, what it is, it's a very quaint British. It just oozes like this kind of middle class, upper class kind of Britishness of like sort of like folly and just sort of it just feels it's very nice. Is what it is. It's just very, very nice what I got from it. You might have just sent me a very nice bit, but it maybe goes into a drama or a war film or a horror, like, you know, but in the 6 minutes I watched, it felt very, very, I think quaint is just the right word for it. Maybe that isn't, but like, it just felt to me, like when they were playing this bit where they're playing, it's the dad and the son playing table tennis, and that reminded me of me and my dad playing table tennis, and, you know, in the long summers, it feels like, it feels like a British summer is what it feels like if you live in the Shires, like not in the city, it's a very different, experience if you live in one of our sort of cities, but it felt very much like a summer holiday is what it felt like.
Definitely. And I'm assuming, actually, from these minutes that you're unlikely to, unless you've read up on it, to know what the film's actually about.
Yeah, what I got with it was, and it's amazing actually, I don't know whether it's very similar to the rest of the film, but every scene was essentially like a minute long. So it just really felt, like it was just absolutely powering through. Lots of stuff, and like I saw a bit of table tennis, a little chat on a beach, then they're like, hooray, we're gonna get married and I'm pregnant, and then they're getting married. Like that's what I got. It was very, very quick. It was a very eventful 6 minutes. So like some huge life moments happened in that bit. Not table tennis. Table tennis isn't a huge life moment.
You probably won't know that this film, as well as being just a romantic comedy, is about time travel.
Okay.
It's the third of the films in which Rachel McAdams plays someone who can travel in time. And it's my favourite of the three. In fact, it's my favourite film overall. A lot of people have laughed at me for that, but it's one of those films. It's probably not, I think the thing is, a perfect film is just one where the good outweigh the bad. And for me, this film feels like a warm hug whenever I watch it.
No, it is. It is, again, it's warm. The palette is very, very warm. The characters are very warm. There's nobody in there. I mean, I don't know about the rest of the film, but this bit, no conflict whatsoever. It was just very whimsical. Whimsical, there we go. That's the perfect word for it. It was, again, lots of warm colours. I'm watching a clip of it right now. You've got a nice, she's in like this red hoodie and the blues and stuff like that, and everything else has been these like nice yellowy warm pastels. So it's just like, yeah, I can see why it is like a bit of a hug. Like, it's just like a warm hug, yeah.
But yeah, you've definitely got an eventful few minutes. It's, yeah. We've given you good ones, and such a major pivotal part of the film, really.
But that's it. No, it is. And the thing is, it's not, but there's also some great, scenes in it. Like I said, I really connected to the one with the dad and I presume it was a father and son relationship. Like, playing table tennis, that I really connected with that. I thought that was really funny. Both actors like being, just being great. And then we also had the scene where, he's trying to plan the wedding and then his fiance's like saying, I'm going to take my clothes off if you actually make a decision about things. That was also a funny little scene to get as well. Yeah. So it's a very eclectic, bunch of scenes. And then they go straight into the wedding. With that. So it was a bit of a, it was very nice. That was it. It didn't feel like anything's going to go wrong in this story. So it just felt like, I don't know whether that's like,
mostly because he goes back in time and fixes everything that goes wrong.
So there we go. So has he gone back in time at this point?
A few times, yeah.
Is that what he's doing?
Well, he hasn't affected this moment yet. This is the first time she's gone to meet the parents and they're announcing they're getting married.
Okay, cool. And she's wearing red. Is she wearing red in every single scene? Am I just being like really weird?
Not in every scene, but it is. The red wedding dress is interesting.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I've never seen a
wedding
wedding dress before, so like I was just wondering whether that's like a theme. But yeah,
but that'll be more a topic for when we go on to the third episode this week. So I'm just going to read through the dialogue of minute 66, and it's, oh, and of course, I have a weakness for your son. Mary says. They're actually incidentally both called Mary, so it'll be Mary and Mum.
Wait, he's marrying somebody who's also got the same name as his mother. Okay, that's already funny. Go on, yeah.
And she says, and his mum says, so do I, but best not tell him, don't want him getting cocky. And yeah, I mean, this is the only exchange that we get in this with Lindsay Duncan as the mother. We don't see that much of her in the film, but what we get of her is just so brilliant. It's such a good casting choice for Lindsay Duncan, I think. And I think maybe having Bill Nighy and Lindsay Duncan, two legendary British actors playing the parents, it makes them like the quintessential British family, even though Donald Gleeson is Irish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, they do really work, and you're right, that is the best casting you could probably go for if they're playing that, and that's probably why you only have to watch a minute of this, and you know what the kind of, where these people are from, who they are. You sort of know exactly who they are. And that does come from really good casting as well as, yeah.
So then, as we talked about table tennis, the dad, played by Bill Nighy, is pow, I'm so good without the ball, pow, pow. And Tim just asks about what he thinks of Mary, what do you think of her? And he said, I like her more than you already. And then we get the first mention of Il Mondo as Tim goes, oh look, I've forgotten this, Jimmy Fontana, Il Mondo. The dad follows that with greatest record ever recorded by an Italian who looks like he's got a dead badger on his head. And Il Mondo is known to have been something that's very close to Richard Curtis's heart as a piece of music. We'll talk more about that next week as we actually get to hear most of the song at the wedding. We only hear a glimpse of it today. But he's been trying to incorporate in stuff for ages, even down to the point of writing an entire sitcom entitled Yes Minestrone that never got picked up, just so he could use Il Mondo as the theme song. And I guess, did either of you notice the portrait of Nick Cage in the background while they were playing table tennis?
Which one is supposed to be Nick Cage?
The one behind the dad.
Oh. You're right, there is, you're right. The bottom left is very subtle, as in the wide. Yeah, that's very, on the floor, do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, why is that there? Yeah.
It's so strange. I hadn't noticed it until I'd heard it commented on the commentary, and it was like, yeah, it's just so odd.
Why is that? Okay, amazing, okay. This maybe something shouldn't be questioned. But like, cause it's not even at the forefront, it's like literally hidden in the bottom left hand corner on the floor. Like completely discarded. Like, is it even an in-joke that they forgot to put at the forefront? Like, it's a very well hidden in-joke. It's very strange. Like,
I mean, the house this is filmed in is a rental house, so maybe for some reason that's part of the dressing of the house and they've just kept it there, I don't know. They've completely redressed other rooms, so it seems odd. So yeah, Tim says, and you've got the album? Dad says, yes. Check out those specs. Come on with the game. Right, and what an extraordinary game this is. For the first time ever, a father and a son are playing each other in the World Table Tennis Final, And neither of them are Chinese. Tremendous play from the old world champion and his son, the first openly ginger British table tennis player. But there are signs that the youngster's beginning, and that's where our minute 66 concludes. And yeah, I mean, I do like that from these scenes, you know, with you having seen this for the first time, you get a brilliant aspect as to what their father-son relationship is. It's just a brilliant relationship. And as you said, it reminds you of your relationship with your dad. And I think that's the way with it, that they leave enough there that people can place their own family into these characters and connect a bit more with them.
Like, yeah, and also the making the sort of mildly racist jokes about Chinese tennis players and table tennis players. Like, I think if anyone
mildly
can relate that from their
racist
parents.
enough. Yeah, mildly racist enough for it to not come across as offensive, but enough as a sort of thing that someone would say in real life.
Oh no,
but
yeah, exactly.
Unlikely to say on TV, so
it's
it works.
Cool. It's not even, that's the point, is that it's it ends up sort of not really being any kind of, like, racism, just in that it's sort of said with absolutely no volatility whatsoever. And it's just kind of, again, just like a quaint joke that actually said to the wrong crowd at the wrong time. It could totally be like an absolute mishap.
I like the first openly ginger British table tennis player.
Yeah, exactly. Which again would be very offensive to ginger, but I think that's just really funny that it is that kind of humour that, you'd find that only a kind of a son and a dad would share, like, kind of openly. Mm-hmm. So it does put you, in a space that is purely, our family, really. Yeah, it's really nice.
So, Robert, is there anything on visuals for this minute?
This whole segment is fairly simple on visuals. It's just like, it's camera on guy who's talking, and you get some nice back and forth during the table tennis, but nothing I was going to do like a play-by-play on.
So I guess we can slide straight into minute 67, the second minute for this episode, where the dad continues with, "To crack, there are tears in his eyes." Tim follows, "There are not, there soon will be." And then we cut straight into Kit Kat, which we'll talk about in a moment. There's not really much more even to say about this exchange. It's just a continuation of what we looked at last time.
I would note, as the guy who obsesses about locations, I don't know where this room is. It's not in the house. Unless there's a basement or some other level that is
it's your classic table tennis room.
Right.
Know, everyone's got a table tennis room. You know, out the back next to the kitchen always. It's just the table tennis place. I don't know. I've got no idea.
Just opposite the swing ball room.
Yeah, exactly. Indoor swing ball. Now that's a great idea. Ooh. Like, just a room for the swing ball.
I stayed in a house.
China place on the shelves around it.
I stayed in a house in England where the attic had a snooker table, a pool table, and I think a foosball table. Just up in the attic, all three. It was great.
That's good.
That's brilliant.
So they're in the attic. That's
they could be. There are stairs going up above the second floor.
Yeah, we do see later on, them going up stairs to this moment, so I guess that would be the logical thing. I mean, one of the questions could be, I guess I could literally contact the venue and ask them, maybe.
Well, there's great galleries of this house. There's pictures of every room. And so I'm like, this room isn't there, but maybe it is, and it's normally storage, so they don't put it in the gallery.
Yeah, maybe.
We, of course, learned several weeks ago, or several weeks after this, when we recorded it, that this was a separate building on the property and not in the house, so I'm right, the gallery doesn't include it. And thank you to JP and Liz for giving us more details.
So yeah, then we go to Kit Kat and Tim at his parents' house. Well, he's obviously still at his parents' house. I mean, Robert, you're a big fan of Kit Kat's character. So.
She's about to be awesome.
What impression do you get of Kit Kat, Joe? Oh, sorry, Robert.
Yeah, I think it is great. No, I think she's distinct from the rest of them. That's quite good. It's very important to try and make sure all your characters are, like, distinct, and just the way she was sort of speaking and her attitude to things did mean that she did stand out, and it made me want to know, like, more about her, because she wasn't acting like anybody else. So she's not in, and then she runs in and takes out her, who is that? Who's she taking out there? Oh, his fiancée, yeah. That's it, yeah. That's brilliant.
So yeah, I mean, I like this exchange because, yeah, she's still got that humour about her, but she's also, there's that hidden seriousness behind it.
Yeah, in the larger context of the story, you can tell something's wrong in Kit Kat's life, but we don't know because we're not following her.
we don't know Kit Kat's story yet, and in case, Joe, you end up watching the film, we won't talk too much about her story either.
That's what it came off, was that there was something hidden there, that there was something I didn't know about that I should, and it kind of made this like weird, awkward, feeling. So that's good to know. That's good to know.
So Tim says to Kit Kat, "Hey, I didn't know you were here." She says, "Yeah, I just popped down for a while." "Oh, okay, what about the job?" When he says, "What about the job?" she slides her fingers across her throat. And he says, "A couple of weeks." "Gosh. So, life in London." She says, "Horrid." "Okay." And then Kit Kat asks, "Is Mary here?" "Yes." "Where?" "Downstairs. You be gentle, be gentle." And then, she goes down, tackles Mary. Yeah. And, Robert, I see on your notes that you've got a really good note on visuals for this.
Oh yeah, but Kit Kat at her best, because she's, running through and tackling, and she tackles Mary onto beanbag chairs and a purple rug, which Kit Kat's color is purple, so I put in my notes like, this is where Kit Kat always tackles people.
And I guess that because she's also, you can tell something wrong with her life, because the purple that she's actually wearing at this point isn't as poignant as otherwise, so it's like, it's like her silly side is almost more hidden.
Yeah.
By her costume.
But it kind of gets woken up when Mary's there, so she tackles it.
Uncle Desmond says, "Careful." Mm-hmm. And Mary says, "Yeah, nice to see you too." Kit Kat, "Yeah." And Mary says, "I'm trying to make a good impression." Kit Kat says, "Yeah, you make a good impression." Which Tim then followed, that's a different scene. I'll talk about that in a second. But this is a great exchange, because we've only seen a tiny bit in a montage with Kit Kat and Mary that we didn't get to see what their relationship is like, so I think it's brilliant that we see it here. And she says she had brothers, so she hasn't had a sister, Mary, right. So I guess Kit Kat is almost like a sister to her at this point. Although Mary says she has brothers at the start of the film, but then there are no brothers at the wedding.
Right, she might have been lying. I love that this little exchange between Mary and Kit Kat happens while they're still just laying on the floor.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, have we got any other comments on this before we go just into Tim making the announcement?
This is the drawing room if you're going to stay at the Portbean House. The piano is there. It's part of the room.
As I said before, I really want, there's no way I can afford to actually stay in the house, but I really want to, see whether I can travel down to Cornwall and just look around for a day. Or even just a couple of hours, just ask, plug the show, use that as a way of being, we host 2 minutes about time. Any chance we could look around for an hour or two and just take some photos? Who knows? We don't know how long this lockdown will last. Don't know when on earth I'm going to be able to get to Cornwall, but it just looks like such a lovely place that I'd love to just be there and take it in. So we cut to Tim in the dining room saying, "Right, sorry, I've got an important announcement to make." And that's where our minute 67 concludes. So, what impressions overall do we get on these minutes?
Really, just, again, really nice. You sort of, for me, it's the first time I sort of see these characters and their connection to our protagonist. And I completely understand what their relationship is. I knew that was his dad. I knew that was, actually in some ways Kit Kat, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's like brother and sister or, something like that. I don't really know, but it was good to, I think even though I've not seen any of it, I kind of knew what was going on, and I connected with those characters, which I think is the most important thing you can do, is you see the connection between two characters, and then also you gain a connection between those characters and the audience. I think they're two really important things, and the fact that they've managed to do that in 2 minutes is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great, and as someone who's guested on a lot of Movie by Minute shows, there are several occasions where I can just be sent a minute or two and have no idea what's going on. So it's nice to know that this one isn't one of them for you, because, Robert knows from me doing Dave Made a Minute that it's very, very hard to talk about stuff when you have no idea what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Joe, where can the listeners find you on social media?
Oh, they can find me on Instagram. It's something like at Joseph Archer, then that underline, whatever that is, it's like an underscore or something like that. That's on Instagram, also on Twitter. Just search for my website in Google. There's also, again, Windows Level Productions, which you can find all the stuff there. But yeah, just give a little search for my name. and you should hopefully be able to track me down. Yeah.
And Robert, where can listeners find you?
Social media, Robert E.G. Black, or my website, lemmingdrops.com.
And the listeners can find me on Twitter at llama_bottle0. They can find me on Instagram at the Ginger Luke. They can find me on Facebook at Luke Allen Film. All podcasts, radio appearances, short films, and anything I'm remotely involved in is probably listed at lukeallen.co.uk. This show is available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at 2 Minutes About Time. They can also join our Facebook group where we discuss all things about time and anything to do with tangents or whatever goes on this show, which is titled The Cupboard. Thanks so much for listening, and today's goodbye, as always, is brought by a random article I found listing different ways to say goodbye. And we've got a bolt. The 2 Minutes About Time theme is performed by Ethan O'Mahony and is a cover of the About Time theme, originally composed by Nick Laird-Close. 2 Minutes About Time is a production of Lemming Drop Studios in association with Bottle O Productions.